Peace and blessings. This is Ashaki Ali, better known as a True Lioness, coming at you with a short video. And I've had some people comment or speak to me about the personal experiences that I share and how impactful they have been. And so I want to take today and make a little short video to share something about myself, another personal experience, of course, that I triumphed over. I was victorious in this situation. And so I'm sitting in my yard. It's partly cloudy here today, so the sun comes in and out, and I have found difficulty in finding anywhere where the lighting was just right or to my liking. So hopefully this video is not too dark and you guys can see me well and can hear me well. So the experience that I'm going to share today is about homelessness. So I myself was homeless about 15, 16 years ago, and I was homeless about 4 or 5 months, and it was a difficult time. I was about 20 years old, and I found myself in that situation. I had moved from one state to another, and I was living with a family member, and I was giving that family member money or whatever, what have you. But one day I came in from wherever I was, and I don't quite remember whether I was shopping or um, at work. I really just don't remember. At that time, I used to work a whole lot and do a lot of partying, so I don't know. But nevertheless, I came in and went into my bedroom, and I heard her boyfriend like, yeah, you need to go ahead and take care of that. Something like that. The vibe was very negative. Peace. Good. All right, you too. There was someone passing by speaking. But nevertheless, so I heard him making some comments, and then I heard her say, yeah, I'm going to let her know something when she comes out of the room. So you hear someone saying something such as this, you already know that's not a good situation. And they weren't speaking loudly, but I hear very well. And so, I already had in my mind like, all right, so here comes some bull, whatever. But I would have never thought that she was going to look at me and tell me I had to get my things and go. And my son, I have a son that's 19 years old today. At this time, he was 4 or 5 years old. And I'm like, well, what about him? Oh, he can stay, but you have to go. And I'm like, that makes zero sense. I'm not going to leave my son with someone that puts his mother out in the cold. It was November. So I ended up, basically, my son went to live with a relative and I was homeless. Um, and during that period of time, it was a very dark time for me. I had just come out of an abusive marriage, which I've spoken about before. I was married to an abuser, and I had moved to a different state, and I ended up coming back to take care of the same family member who, in turn, once she got into a better physical position, told me I had to go. And so I had given her, furniture and things for the house, and I'm like, yo, this is too much. And back then I didn't know and I didn't understand or know about the 30-day rule and all this, that she really supposed to have given me a notice, and I really didn't have to leave that day. I just got my things together, got my little work uniforms and all this, and I left. That night I think I had like $50 in my pocket. I went to a motel. I was about to say hotel, but no. This was definitely a motel. This was not Super 8. This was this is a motel. Like, okay, you go somewhere and there's only one of these in existence, so there are no chain. I'm gonna let that bus go by. There are no chain hotels of this caliber at all. This is the place that you don't really want to. You're not gonna sit down in the tub at all. You take a quick shower and get out of there. That's what I'm talking about. One of those. But anyway, it was like $35 for a night. So I stayed the night there. I had like $50. I had like $15 to put in my tank. At the time, I used to drive a little Hyundai Elantra, so it didn't take much to put gas in there. So I saved $5 so I can get me something to eat. And that was what I did. So I went to work the next day as if nothing was wrong. And while I'm working, in my mind, time is winding down. I used to work 3 to 11 shift, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it got about 9 o'clock, and I started to feel very anxious and very scared because I didn't know where I was going to go that night. Couldn't go to her house, and it was cold. It was getting very cold here. So anyway, I ended up going to stay the night at a cousin's house. I slept on the couch. And so I went through months of this, going from, hotels, a motel, sleeping on a cousin's couch. That cousin in particular, I went there and I lived there, or I stayed the night there many times. But I brought that to an end because one night, her brother, who is also my cousin, a friend of his, he didn't try to attack me, but I was in a very compromising position, and I was not comfortable, and I knew I wasn't safe, so I left and I didn't go back there to stay. But I slept in my car a whole lot during that time. I was safer there. I didn't have to be around people feeling like I was imposing upon anybody, but it was not safe. I almost was robbed a few times. I was almost sexually attacked a few times as well during this period of time. That's when I learned how to handle a firearm. I bought a pistol because I was saving money. I couldn't put the money in the bank because my bank account was in the negatives, and they were going to take the money, and I had um, I just had a financial mess. And so I was carrying my money everywhere I went, in a little safe thing. And that wasn't safe, but I almost was robbed a few times. So I bought a gun. Um, and that's when I learned to handle firearms. But a couple of things I learned during the time of being homeless. I learned that I was stronger than what I thought, way tougher than I ever could imagine. I learned that, it's some real savage people out here in this world, and they will really try to do you in or try to take advantage of a situation where you're most vulnerable. There's a lot of beauty and love in this world, but there's a lot of ugliness as well. I learned to be more discerning of people's character, people that I felt or thought that may have had should have had my back because I had theirs. At the end of the day, they really didn't. And then also, I learned that I could live off a whole lot less than what I could imagine. So, we take materialism to a whole different level. But at the end of the day, if your basic needs are being met, those pleasurable things, you can pretty much do without them. We all like the things we enjoy, whatever, but at the end of the day, you really don't need it. If you got shelter, food, clothing, safety and security, you can make it. You know what I'm saying? You can really make it. So many people know. If you don't, I'll just share a little bit. So over the last, I've always done things for other people. So let me just make that plain. I didn't just um, start feeling like, oh, I'm gonna be charitable um, in the last few years. No, not at all. I've always been a giver, but over the last few years, I've taken it up a notch, and I really, especially when I lived in the city, I really focused a lot on the homeless and would do my best to organize and do things for them, special projects. A lot of times they don't have dry socks to put on and things like this, blankets, water, toiletries. Women don't have, pads or tampons to use when they're on their menstrual cycle. And those are things we take for granted, but it's important when you don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Everything is like, the importance is heightened when you don't have a thing. So anyway, part of the reason why I feel such a heart for the homeless is because I've been there. I've walked that walk, and it was not easy to get out, but I did eventually, get a house, um, get in a better position, and haven't been homeless again. been near homeless because a lot of us we living paycheck to paycheck, and eviction notices. It was a time where um, somebody else passing. I'm sorry, but it was a time where I was getting eviction notices every month because I never had the money on the first. You know, it would be mid-month before I would get the money, but thank goodness I'm not in that position anymore. Doing much better, and but I always have a heart for them, and I always will. I don't, a lot of times we give, but we judge when we give. Like, yeah, I'm gonna give you this sandwich, but you need to get yourself together. Yeah, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna give you these toiletries, but how did you get in this shape? We want to know the backstory, but we need to learn to give without judging because you don't know. And a lot of us, like I said, right now are one paycheck away from being homeless ourselves. So we need to put ourselves in their position and show love and know that they are grateful. Some of these people have mental issues as well, and that's why they're in the shape they're in. They just are lost mentally and have not been able to get the help that they need. Um, and just by you showing that little bit of love, you could be shining a light in a dark place for them. So don't take that from them, and always give them their dignity, respect them. They deserve it. It's not fair for us to think we high and mighty because we could all fall from grace at any given time. But nevertheless, so if you or someone is experiencing homelessness or just going through a difficult time, please share this video. Let them know that being homeless does not have to be the end of their story. You can find your way back out. Um, and don't always think that just because someone seems to be well put together that they always had it together. I mean, I've been walking around looking like the baddest, fly from head to toe and been a hot mess on the inside. So don't even, like I say, even at that time, people didn't know I was homeless. Are you kidding me? Mm-mm. So don't always think that everybody else has it together because they oftentimes do not. So until next time, I'm not going to keep you um, held too hostage too much longer, but I just wanted to share that to encourage someone else and let them know that, I feel you and I understand, but that does not have to be the end for you. There's a whole, other way of living, um, and a way to be free out here that you have not experienced, but you are worthy of experiencing. So don't give up. Don't ever, ever, ever give up. Don't give up hope. You just keep pushing. So until next time, this has been Ashaki Ali, better known as the True Lioness, on this beautiful Friday, even though it is, sun is peeking in and out, but I'm grateful for it anyway. You guys take care. Have a safe weekend. Peace, love, and light.